So Eternals, the new Marvel film, is coming out soon, and it stars my favourite Scottish boy, Richard Madden. I've had an ongoing obsession with this man since I first saw him as Robb Stark in Game of Thrones, and early this year I realised that I'd watched an unhealthy amount of stuff with him in it. To clarify, my obsession is not just for his good looks and love of dinosaurs, he really is my hero. I get along with his worldview, with his attitudes, and with his taste in cars as well. Given that billions of Marvel stans are about to be introduced to Richard, I thought it'd be a good chance to follow that unhealthy habit to its end and watch every single thing that he has ever been in, and then rank it for good measure. It's a good chance to look over everything that he's been in so far, and to help us with deciding that order, we're going to be judging each film and TV show by the Madden factor. That is, how much Richard Madden is giving when Richard Madden is on screen. You'll get an idea of it as we go through the video. The order of this list is based primarily on whether it's worth watching for Richard Madden alone, alongside how good I think each film and TV show is. There are no spoilers in this video except for a few minor occasions, and I'll give ample warning before those, so don't you worry. And we start this list with the worst thing that he's been in. It's not often that I find myself calling a period drama bizarre, but this obscure pre-Great War story set in Germany is exactly that. This thing sees Richard starring alongside nothing short of Rebecca Hall and Alan Bloody Rickman, who is for my money the greatest actor who has ever walked this earth. And yet in this, all of them are plain as fucking kitchen roll. Like how can they look so bored when they're all on screen together? And then there are these weird crash zooms and free cam bits that just have no purpose being there, and they all have these absurdly English accents despite playing German characters. Like, what the fuck? The story's boring, there's no stakes to match its forbidden love theme, there's no Madden factor here, and there's very little else too. Don't watch. I won't bore you with repeating my thoughts on Rocketman, as I covered all of that in my musical biopics video, so let's focus on Mr. Madden. Richard really doesn't get a chance to flourish in this. Like I said in the biopics video, I thought all the cast put a lot of effort in, but they were very limited by its drivel of a script. There's a bit of Madden factor here when he's wearing double-breasted suits and drinking champagne, but the one-dimensional evil music manager character type that he gets shoved into is really boring. Plus his character has very little in the way of closure. Once again, it's not worth your time just for him. I had the great displeasure of studying this controversial but stuffy book back during my English A-level, and yet this BBC version of Lady Chatterley's Lover isn't a total displeasure to watch. As radical as much of D.H. Lawrence's work was, this thing is just lagged down by its story and its corniness, and settles of trying to be another forbidden love thing. This is one of the many period dramas where the men make no noise during sex scenes, which I really don't understand, especially given that Lawrence definitely mentions Mellors grunting in the book. Indeed, a lot of this is basically just smut, including Richard Madden chopping wood whilst topless and Richard Madden giving cunnilingus in the rain. Tumblr users will no doubt like it for those scenes alone, and better still, it's got James Norton and Jodie Comer in it too. Treat it as a comedy and you might be able to make something of it. So imagine if the online safety PSAs you got shown in school were turned into a feature-length film, and well, that's basically what Chatroom is. This has the least Richard Madden of anything on this list, but it's ranked this highly because there's a fair amount to like here. While it's executed very sloppily and feels a bit like an A-level media studies project, there's some really clever features used here to dramatise what being on the internet is like. Plus the cast is nuts, like so many actors here who have gone on to do loads of great stuff since. If you want to experience society's paranoia surrounding teenagers online back in 2010, then this is probably worth checking out. My flatmate disagrees with me putting this above Rocketman, but I think this has way more soul than that pile of wank. Ibiza straddles the definition of a movie. It is literally just 90 minutes of following three friends around Spain, and half of it looks like a perfume advert. Our main gal, Gillian Jacobs, gets sent to Barcelona by her overly millennial boss for a marketing trip, and her friends Vanessa Bayer and Phoebe Robinson end up joining her because, well, yeah. Madden is supposed to be playing a DJ, although he basically just plays himself, given that his character literally dresses, speaks, and acts like he does in real life. And as a result, the Madden factor is strong here. I won't give any spoilers, but there are some scenes towards the end where, woo lord! This is a bad film overall, but I also found it stupidly entertaining, or at least it was after 2 glasses of wine. Madden starred in the first series of Netflix's Medici, an authentic but dull period drama set in 15th century Florence. I had a hard time disentangling this from all the other dynastic family drama shows that were spat out in the wake of Game of Thrones. This thing has a really amazing cast, but the direction and script are just so drass. Plus the score sounded like a knockoff Raymond Djawadi production, and I don't take well to my man being done dirty. There's definitely some Madden factor here in the flashback scenes where he's serving medieval heartthrob realness, and the story definitely had promise, but it's just let down by how uninspired it all was. Everything was there to make this a great show, but it just didn't give me anything to love about it. It was too dry, cold, and just lacked any convincing tension. Oh my word, wow. Cinderella is ditzy, plastic, and CGI'd into oblivion and makes for perfect Christmas background watching. This is the only live-action Disney remake that I've genuinely enjoyed, and almost all of that is down to its cast. I really wish that they made this into a mock pantomime style thing because I think everyone involved would have killed it, but hey, I can settle for this. My entire bisexual heart lies in Richard Madden and Lily James's 18th century romance fantasy, completely devoid of any chemistry, but who fucking cares? God love Germanic folklore. Save for the tights, for which I'm sure he really appreciates the endless comments about his downstairs area, the Madden factor is glowing here. He's a perfectly dashing, affable, marketable, inert, apolitical prince. Madden plays Captain Weir in this thorough but under-captivating adaptation of Birdsong by Sebastian Faulks, the great war romantic drama that the British prince went absolutely shit nuts for. This is another book that I studied in English A-level, and in the TV adaptation, the Madden factor has to do battle with Eddie Red Mania, which basically consists of Eddie staring at things and breathing. In return, Richard gets to wear lots of knitted sweaters and gets covered in mud, all very good. What isn't good, however, is a character change that they make for Captain Weir, and this is a minor spoiler, so please skip ahead if you need to. It suggested that Captain Weir was a virgin and was afraid of sex because he was gay based on the nude photos of men that they find in his belongings, which is a really insulting change to the book. Fox wrote Captain Weir as a representation of masculinity versus fear of sex, where Weir's weakness was being unable to fulfill a key trait of hegemonic masculinity. He is never implied to be homosexual. Turning him gay just was like a cop-out to please conservative audiences who couldn't possibly deal with a debate about hegemonic masculinity's very toxic approach to sex, whilst also offering nothing towards discussing homosexuality in the Great War. Other than that, this is worth watching if you're on a World War I trawl. Released right at the cusp of his stardom, Strays is a short film about two brothers who are small-time thieves. The plot is a bit predictable, but I really enjoy the 2011 fashion in this thing, as well as its presentation of brotherly masculinity. Director Robert McKillop really nailed this contrast between the violence that sits under the surface of negative masculine ideals with the platonic affection that I think a lot of men want to express. The camera work was nice and artsy, I love the colour palette, and Richard looks very dapper in washed-out denim. It is well worth a watch. Listen, Birdsong is good Great War drama, but this, oh hell yeah. Richard has a very minor role in 1917, but his 3 minutes of screen time are a perfect touch to this film. The main attraction here is George McKay and Tommen Baratheon, aka Dean Charles Chaplin, in what is basically a video game cutscene turned into a movie. It is absolutely phenomenal. The lack of more Madden prevents us from being higher, but this thing is just too damn good to rank any lower. It is an absolute must-watch. Okay, this is a wild show that stars a very, very young Richard Madden wearing very, very 2009 attire. Hope Springs is about 4 ex-convicts, including Alex fucking Kingston.
Hello, sweetie. Who
pull off an elaborate heist straight out of prison, but then have to go on the run after their plans to escape to Barbados fall apart. Instead, they end up in the Scottish Highlands and in the middle of the drama of an isolated little village. Visually, this is on the dated side, but there is just so much cheesy, double-crossing, stereotypically British drama in this thing that I lapped up. It is stupidly good fun. Madden only plays a side character in this, so the Madden factor is a bit on the low side, but if you want to see him wearing some truly appalling jeans and shoe combinations, then this is for you. Although in all seriousness, the main 4 characters are what make this so good. I really enjoyed it. Sadly, we only ever got a pilot episode for Oasis, a sci-fi story set in 2032 about humans trying to settle the first off-world colony and religion. This thing had a lot of promise, a very modern premise of Christianity against the backdrop of the climate crisis, mass surveillance, and space exploration. Madden plays a pastor who is sent to the off-world colony of Oasis, and there's a good amount of Madden factor here. His hair is on point, he gets to have a DMC with King Robert, aka Mark Addy, and he wears aviators whilst in the desert. Fuck yeah. I have no doubt this would have placed higher if it was a full series. Good news, lads, we're on to the really good stuff now. I'm amazed that Sirens has been so forgotten because this is a cracking show that really felt like it had something to prove. It follows 3 paramedics through their personal and professional lives, exploring how they deal with the stress of working in the emergency services and with their own masculinity. I especially liked how bluntly it captures the depression, self-loathing and isolation that hegemonic masculinity creates, whilst also not asking you to feel sorry for our main trio. Madden's character is gay too, which the show really utilises to explore a queer angle within this. Instead of being written to be camp and flamboyant, he's just as laddie as his mates are, yet is also so vulnerable too. It's got some dated language choice, but it's a proper kitchen sink drama comedy. Think Grey's Anatomy but darker and set in Leeds. Honestly, for 90 minutes of cinema fluff action, I don't know what more you could want. Bastille Day looks good, goes good, twists and turns predictably without ever taking itself too seriously, the CIA are in it of course, all good shit. It pairs this cool Paris atmosphere with action sequences where the characters aren't superheroes and lots of neat security services tech too. I even thought it had a shot at making some genuinely nuanced points about extremist politics and narrative manipulation, but well, for real though, I was so surprised with how much I enjoyed Bastille Day, and it offers some extra cuddly Madden factor with that big puppy dog expression that he makes. Him and Idris look like they had an absolute blast making this, and it really helps to sell the film. Channel 4 adapting Philip K. Dick's short story? Sign me the fuck up. The Hoodmaker is only loosely based on his original 1955 short story, but this is a really solid and authentic redesign. I'm an absolute whore for Philip K. Dick. He is my favourite sci-fi writer because he often achieves amazing future noir world building without the need for endless backstory. There was so much love for his work in this episode. The classic cars against the futuristic ghettos, the murky colour palette, Richard Madden dressing as a knockoff Rick Deckard, I mean, it is just delectable. Plus, he gets to reunite with Holiday Granger, and it stars the late Paul Ritter, rest in peace. I'll say nothing about the story because I think it's worth going in blind for this one, but I will say this is one of my favourite Madden performances. He puts so much personality into his character, Agent Ross. Bloody hell, I'm finding it hard to escape musical biopics at the moment, but thank the Lord, this is a rise to fame story that's actually really, really good. What About the Boy is about Culture Club singer and all-round queer icon Boy George, including a beautiful depiction of his time at the Blitz Club and the many famous faces that emerge from it. Madden plays musician Kirk Brandon, who was the lead singer of Theatre of Hate and later Spear of Destiny, firmly cementing him as a post-punk and gothic rock legend. His performance here is definitely the best of his earlier career. He gives us such a crooning, gritty, yet also vulnerable portrayal. The film does a lot to explore the stigmas surrounding LGBTQIA+ people at the time, and Brandon's character is really key to this, as his conflict with his own sexuality embodies the impact that those stigmas had. The rest of this cast are just stunning as well, including Douglas Booth as George himself, Gavin and Stacey's Matthew Horn playing Culture Club drummer John Moss, Mark Warren playing Welsh bisexual new wave icon Steve Strange, RIP, and Mark Gatiss giving a worryingly accurate portrayal as Malcolm McLaren. If you have any interest in post-punk and new wave, or you want to learn more about London's queer scene at the start of the 1980s, you have to watch this. Oh man, Klondike is no-nonsense, good, cheesy telly fluff that makes a right go at portraying the Canadian gold rush of the late 19th century. Madden stars as Bill Haskell, an American university graduate looking for adventure, and he sets off to northwest Canada in search of gold. It offers safe grittiness and reliable drama, especially with our lawful neutral superintendent Martin Sokas and Tim Roth doing a lot of sitting down in chairs. Plus, Augustus Proof, my Ibiza, is in it as well. The score was shit, but the visuals were absolutely gorgeous, courtesy of Ridley Scott, who produced this, and the entire atmosphere that's created is just, well, it just totally enthralled me. The Madden factor is spellbinding here. He's in his element wearing outdoor jackets, sitting in log cabins, and being bent on revenge. The only letdown is his American accent, which is not it, just can't stop that Scottish coming through, but him looking grisly and gruff, my friends, that is it. Madden delivers as the show's lead. Some will probably find this to be too American to be likeable, but as a mini-series, this was just executed so brilliantly. Don't worry if you're put off by the idea of a car movie, I know that they aren't for everyone, but this one is really good. Group B, as the name suggests, is set in the Group B era of rally cars, a time in the 1980s when cars designed to go off-road were driving as fast as 1,000 horsepower Formula 1 cars. The psychological impact of how absurdly quick these things were is central to the film's plot. A lot of people died whilst racing in them, and Madden gives a deft portrayal of a troubled but determined driver. There's also just something about a Scottish rally driver. I don't know if that's just because Colin McRae was my hero, but Madden really delivers on the demeanor in this thing. Car lovers will also appreciate the magnificent sound work, in-car visuals, and atmosphere of this thing. It is one of the best car movies that I have ever watched. Well, I'm sure we all expected this one to be high, didn't we? Game of Thrones is one of my favourite TV shows of all time, and Richard Madden playing Robb Stark was pivotal to my bisexual awakening. Credits Natalie Dormer too. Love you, Queen. Me and a load of mates from school all went through our Game of Thrones phase together, and I would like to publicly apologise for how enamoured I was with all things Robb. Like, you guys put up with a lot. I revisited his seasons as well as season 4 more than any others when I've been rewatching the show, and it is difficult to put into words how absurdly, ridiculously good this thing was. Like all the lead performances throughout Thrones, Richard owned this role. He was born to do it and was totally compelling. This is nigh on peak Madden factor, to be honest. Something about those medieval clothes, his accent, and being out in the countryside just suits him so well. Not quite the absolute peak though, because while he was completely at home as Robb Stark, he totally demolished my highest ranked show, which was... Oh yeah. Guys, this is it. If you want Richard Madden, look no further. Bodyguard was not only a ratings phenomenon, but an instant classic BBC drama that just got everything right. This is dummy thick good television. Richard plays the lead role as Personal Protection Officer Sergeant David Budd alongside the equally talented Keeley Hawes, which technically makes us part of the Succession universe as Hawes is married to Matthew McFadden. I can't put it any other way. It is one of the most well-written political thrillers that I have ever watched. The show's greatest achievement is how nerve-shreddingly tense and complex it is, and Richard guides us through all of that with a very grounded and human performance. He's able to handle the show's upsetting themes of PTSD and depression with so much candor, which further carries the show's assessment of Britain's attitudes towards terrorism and security in the 2010s. There is endless Madden factor here. He's wearing suits, angrily staring at TVs, being sad, doing police shit. Like, I cannot get enough of it. I'm glad he's wanting to move on from playing damaged good guys in terms of his career, but I really can't undersell the fact that this is his best performance so far, making it easily one of my favourite TV shows of recent times. And that's just about it for all things Richard Madden. There really isn't anything else to cover unless you want to include Barmy Aunt Boomerang. That is until Eternals and Citadel come out, the latter of which looks very exciting indeed. There are also rumours of a second series of Bodyguard in the works, which frankly should be considered a health risk given how high it sent the nation's blood pressure. Like, the NHS is going to have to factor that in. I also want to make the point that there is no one else in the world right now more suited to be the next James Bond. Like, Bond was Scottish in the books, Madden is too, he's the right age for it, he clearly has the talent. Like, if that offer is on the table, Richard, you need to take it for the sake of society. Anyway, enough obsessing over him. Like I said at the start of the video, Madden is an absolute hero of mine, and I hope you've enjoyed this complete cover of every single thing that he's been in. Tell me what you thought of the films and TV shows included in this list. I'd love to know if you agreed or disagreed with my ordering. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you're keeping well wherever you are. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.